Well, hi there again. So here we go. This is another one of those blue Hawaiian shirt videos, which is frankly a little unpredictable. I mean, the last one, if I released it, that is, ended up being a little loud and kind of a rant. I mean, definitely a rant. This one, maybe not so much. I've got some things to say, and this is kind of like the more subtle and quiet and not so loud version. So here's the deal. We're talking about YEVO, and that's the product that I've been promoting as of late. And and also the whole thing about MLM, which is multi-level marketing, in case you didn't know that. And the last time I talked about multi-level marketing, and I went into all kinds of stuff, and some, kind of emotional stuff. When I say emotional, I'm talking like, fiery. I'm talking like, like a little bit of, loudness and rowdiness and, that kind of stuff, Again, that's fine. This one, again, not so much. So let's jump into it here. MLMs. This is kind of like the short version too. MLMs. Okay, so some people hate MLMs based on their personal experience or whatever. People who are into MLMs, well, they're into it. They promote it, and and I'm basically, where am I in this whole thing? As I've declared before, I am trying to find a bridge. I'm trying to find a bridge between these worlds. The worlds of the people who just can't stand MLM, anything to do with MLM. Oh, no, none of that stuff, right? And the people who are saying, hey, MLMs are one of the ways to make money and market things in society at this particular time in America and other countries and so forth. I come from a position of understanding both sides, believe it. Yeah. I mean, it's like I understand, the negativity about it. Not because, I've felt negative about it, but because I've been in MLMs that, based on my own behavior with friends and family and coworkers and so forth, I've gone overboard. I've turned people off. I mean, I've just pounded people and hounded people, and and I understand how that's just, it's just not a good idea, I mean, so anyway, so now I'm trying to find a way to actually make this work, to actually find a middle ground, between the people who hate MLM and hate the whole concept and the whole, actually, it's not so much the concept, but it's the way it's implemented. The way people do it. And on the other side, the promoters of it. Saying, hey, this is the way to go. You got to do this and that. You got to, just if you can't succeed with one person, well, let them go and go on to the next person and just kind of do this. And to a certain extent, okay, I get that too, but it's kind of all in the details, and it's all in the specifics about who you are and what you do, as an individual. Are you an individual who goes around just turning people off with your style? And frankly, I'm guilty of that. You know, I'm guilty of turning people off. I'm guilty of turning people off in all kinds of ways. But that's a whole nother, you know, issue. But when it comes to MLM marketing or marketing in general, you know, I mean, you know, I get it. You know, I understand how maybe a little too much and a little bit too this and that, you know, not a good idea. So, so I'm trying to find a middle ground, you know, because I understand that there's got to be a middle ground. There's got to be a middle ground in this. I mean, we live in a capitalist society, and you could say, well, there's all kinds of things wrong with capitalism and blah-de-blah-de-blah. I get that kind of thing. I'm kind of a lefty, right? I mean, I've been a lefty and been in a family, you know, that's for the most part has been, you know, progressive, lefty, and all this other stuff. I mean, I get that, right? I mean, but yet I don't go to that extreme now. I do not believe that it's, you know, it has to be something where all capitalism, all marketing, all company, corporation thing, all that stuff is just evil. You know, no, you know. I don't think that. I mean, certainly I can understand the negative effects. I can understand the, you know, the problems, and I mean, and I've heard these things, and I understand it, and I agree with to a certain extent, but you know, I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater, you know, and things like that, right? You know, I think there's a way to make this happen. You know, and I do believe, you know, human nature. Now people start talking about human nature. It's like, well, human nature is this and human nature is that. Well, you know, I'm trying to find my way with that too. You know, I do believe that there is this selfish, self-centered part, competitive. Yeah, I mean, to a lefty, that's kind of like, oh my goodness, you know, you brought up the C word, you know, in this case, the word competitive, you know, it's like, you know, competition, you know, and oh my, Darwinian or something, oh my goodness, you breached that idea, you know, you talked about competition as opposed to, you know, giving everybody what they need, you know, in a proper, you know, let's fulfill everybody's needs. We're, you know, there is that side of that, you know. Competition is part of who we are. At least that is as far as I know. That has been my experience in life, even among these people who are lefties, you know, and progressives, you know, and all the rest. I mean, I have personally, you know, in terms of my life and what I've noticed, people who are lefties and progressives, they can be just as self-centered and selfish, or whatever you want to call it, you know, self-promoting as anybody else. That's been my experience. You know, that's been my experience from like high school. You know, you go to these progressive meetings and so forth, and you see these people, you know, behave at parties and so forth. They act like just like everybody else in a sense. You know, you know, this has been my experience, right? I mean, it's like they're just as out to, you know, for number one, to, you know, to help themselves out as the other people, right? And again, you know, well, okay, just to make it clear, I'm not putting down progressives and lefties and everything else. You know, if when it comes down to it, that's where I stand, you know, as opposed to these other things, but not to the extreme that I'm ignoring what I consider, you know, practical, everyday reality, pragmatic reality, and that is that everybody's out to a certain extent for their own good, and that's all right. That's who we are. You know, you know, to a certain extent, it's taken me a long time to come to this. You know, I mean, I've kind of realized it intellectually and so forth in various ways before, but I mean, I'm really getting it now. You know, it's like, this is who we are. You know, we have this aspect of ourselves. that is selfish, shall we say, that is competitive. It's like, well, so, take mating, the mates that we have, right? Well, there's a certain competitive aspect to who we are and who we select as a mate, and, this is something that we want for ourselves. We don't want other people to, generally speaking, to have access to our mates and, this and that. I mean, there are certain, exclusive aspects of life. And I'm just trying to say that the same principle, happens to what is going on in the world of marketing and promoting. There is a reality there. Advertising, promotion of one's own company or one's own interest. It's what happens. I mean, you could whitewash it. You could say it's all, bad or whatever, but even the people who are into charities and into this, things that are non-corporation, they're into this, government, stuff. I mean, in my experience, these people have been just as much, to get things for themselves, to find a way, or, to work the system. Whatever it is, to find ways to get resources into their own hands. Here's a good way to put it. To get resources into their own hands. I mean, it's like, okay, so that's, in my opinion, that's part of life, okay? Whether you're a walrus on a beach, a male walrus trying to find female companionship, or that's so funny, Why did I bring that one up, right? Or whether you're, a person who is working for a charity, who's trying to get donations for the charity, a perfectly wonderful charity, but you're going to use some little tricks and things, and marketing methods or whatever to get people to come and give money to your charity organization. I mean, it's just, I've noticed this. It's not like somebody's, people are going around saying, oh, well, whatever, I'm promoting this cause, whatever. If you want to promote it, fine. Not, nah, whatever. And I'm not going to use any kind of tricks, any kind of persuasion techniques or this or that. I'm not going to do any of that stuff, No, I'm above all that. Not. I don't think anybody's above it, or at least very few people, maybe, there might be somebody out there, somebody out there who's above this whole thing, right? And really sees the unity of life and sees, how we're all one and really lives that, with every step, that they take. I just don't see that, though. I just don't, there might be people out there like that. I just don't observe it. Okay, so there's that part of this rant. Now, it's kind of a mini rant, even though it's not so loud and not so, out there in a sense. We're kind of a quieter rant than some of the other ones I've made. I'm trying to make this a little more fun, right?